Imagine waking up just 21 days from now and not recognizing the person in the mirror, not because you've lost yourself, but because you've finally found yourself, stronger, sharper, focused, a version of you that no longer apologizes for. Having ambition no longer hides from discipline, and no longer gives excuses when growth demands effort. This book isn't about fantasy. It's about a real transformation, one that starts with intention and ends with reinvention. In the next 15 chapters, we'll walk through a journey one day at a time that strips away doubt, breaks the chains of your bad habits, redefines your self-image, and rebuilds you into someone you never thought you could be. This isn't magic. It's momentum, sweat, silence, and self-control. It's waking up early, taking ownership, facing your fears, and creating a life that earns respect, not just from others, but from the person you become. Over the next 21 days, you will be challenged, you will be questioned, and you will be changed. Let's begin. Chapter 1. This is the beginning, not a wish. Not a someday, not a maybe, but a decision made in the now to become someone entirely new. For years, you've felt the pull toward change. It's the quiet voice inside you saying you were made for more, but you ignored it, distracted yourself, postponed your potential. Today, that ends. This is day 1, the moment where you stop accepting less and start demanding more from yourself, not through grand gestures, but through disciplined, repeated action. You've carried potential like a burden. Now it's time to activate it. No one is coming to save you. The world won't pause for your excuses. You don't need more time, more chances, or more approval. You need to choose. Choose to show up. To fight through resistance. To stop starting over. You're not behind, you're simply at the beginning of your rise.
Yes, it will hurt.
Yes, you'll feel alone. But the pain of transformation is far better than the numbness of regret. You won't recognize yourself soon, not because you've changed into someone else, because you've finally peeled off everything that never belonged to the real you. The old version of you was built by default, the new one, by design. Every early morning, every rep, every quiet victory, every time you keep a promise to yourself, you are becoming. You are shifting from reactive to relentless, from comfort to courage. And when people ask what changed, you'll say, I started. Not perfectly, not loudly, but fully. One choice at a time. One day at a time. One future being built with every disciplined moment. This is not a new chapter. This is a new book. And it begins now with a decision, with ownership. With no turning back, Chapter 2, Discipline, is your new language now, not motivation, not inspiration, not hype, but raw, unshakable discipline. Because the truth is, motivation is a guest that comes and goes, but discipline is the warrior that stays, even when the war feels endless. Today is not about feeling like doing it. It's about doing it anyway. Anyone can show up on the first day with fire in their chest, but what separates the temporary from the transformational is the ability to keep showing up when that fire fades. This is where most people fall off when the excitement wears off, and the grind sets in when your mind starts negotiating and your body begs for comfort. But you are not most people. You didn't come here to be ordinary. You came here to become unrecognizable. And that requires a new code, a new standard, a new set of rules that don't bend to feelings. Discipline is choosing growth over comfort, clarity over distraction, execution over excuses. It's waking up when the bed feels warm. It's going to the gym when your muscles ache. It's studying when the world is scrolling. It's saying no when everyone around you is saying yes. Discipline is your proof to the universe that you are ready to rise. You want change? Then you need rituals, systems, habits that hold you up. When emotions try to pull you down, let your calendar be your compass, your routine be your religion. This isn't about becoming robotic. It's about becoming unstoppable. Every disciplined act, no matter how small, is a vote for the future. Version of you that refuses to quit. And that version is watching, waiting, depending on you to not give in. So when you feel like stopping, remember, each moment you endure is shaping the mind of a finisher. Each time you keep going, you're training yourself to believe that discomfort is temporary, but victory is permanent. Discipline isn't punishment, it's self-respect.
Wow.
It's choosing long-term greatness over short-term relief. And when people ask how you did it, how you became who you are, they'll expect some secret, some hack, some miracle. But you'll smile and say, I didn't wait to feel ready. I trained myself to show up anyway. This is Chapter 2. Let discipline speak louder than your feelings. Chapter 3 asterisk. Your morning is your battlefield, and every day you either conquer it or surrender to it. The way you begin your day isn't just a habit, it's a message to your mind, to your body, and to the world about who you are becoming. If you start your day in chaos, you carry chaos. If you start your day in control, you carry power. This is not about waking up early just to say you did. It's about rising with purpose, intention, and clarity. Your morning is where your identity is built in silence. No audience, no noise. Just you versus your old self. The snooze button. That's comfort calling. Scrolling through your phone, that's distraction knocking. But you didn't come this far to choose ease. You came to own your time before the world tries to steal it. Imagine what would happen if the first 60 minutes of your day were yours and yours alone. No comparison, no noise, just growth, movement, stillness, learning, sweat, intention. When you master your morning, you stop chasing the day and start leading it. You begin to operate from power, not pressure. Create a rhythm that aligns with your goals, not one that reacts to your problems. Your morning routine becomes a reflection of your priorities. Do you value your body? Move it. Do you value your mind? Feed it. Do you value your future? Build it before the sun rises. Because while the rest of the world sleeps, the next version of you is awake, grinding, growing, becoming. Now, there's no magic in 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or any specific hour. The magic is in claiming time that belongs to you and using it like it matters, because it does. Time is your most valuable currency, and how you spend your first hour is often how you'll spend your life. So stop leaving your mornings to chance. Design them, protect them, master them, because the person who owns the morning owns the mission, and that person is you. This is Chapter 3. Win the morning, win the day. Chapter 4. You are what you consume, not just with food, but with thoughts, sounds, conversations, energy, and content. Everything you allow into your mind is either feeding your future or feeding your fear. You can't expect to feel powerful if all you do is absorb noise, gossip, negativity, drama, and comparison. Your environment is speaking to you every second. Are you listening? The people around you, the voices you follow, the music you play, the shows you binge, the articles you read, the posts you scroll past, these things are not harmless. They're shaping your thoughts, your identity, your self-worth. If you constantly surround yourself with low-energy people, you'll start to feel heavy. If you flood your mind with distraction, you'll lose clarity. If you entertain negativity long enough, it becomes your reality. That's the truth. And it's a truth most people avoid because they don't want to confront the cost of their comfort. But you're not most people. You're becoming unrecognizable. And that means becoming intentional, ruthlessly intentional. Protect your peace like your purpose depends on it, because it does. Start curating your life like it's sacred. People who challenge you. Listen to voices that stretch you. Watch content that grows you. Read words that feed you. Speak words that heal you. Every piece of input is programming your output. Garbage in, garbage out. Growth in, greatness out. This is not about perfection. It's about awareness. What you tolerate is what you teach. Yourself to accept what you consume, you eventually become. So if you want to rise, then filter your intake like a champion. Choose silence over chaos. Choose substance over noise.
Yes.
Choose alignment over entertainment. And when others ask why you don't keep up with trends, why you don't follow the drama, just tell them, because I'm too busy building my future. This is Chapter 4. Your mind is sacred, like it matters because it does. Chapter 5. Discipline is the silent architect of transformation. It's the invisible force that reshapes your days, your habits, your identity brick by brick, choice by choice. When people talk about becoming unrecognizable, they often imagine some grand, sudden change. But true change isn't explosive. It's quiet. It's in the 5 a.m. alarm when you don't feel like getting up. It's in the no you say to distractions that used to steal your time. It's in choosing the gym when your body says rest, choosing the book when your mind craves scrolling, choosing presence when your environment screams escape. Every time you do what you said you would do, even when it's inconvenient, you build something inside yourself that no one can take away. Discipline is self-respect in action. It's telling yourself, I am worth the effort. And yes, it will be uncomfortable. Your emotions will rebel. Your old self will scream. But growth doesn't happen in comfort, it happens in resistance. Discipline doesn't remove emotion, it leads through it. You'll feel tired. You'll feel doubt. You'll feel fear. But discipline says, we move anyway. Most people negotiate with their potential. They listen to feelings instead of vision, but not you. Not anymore. The moment you stop asking for permission from your mood and start submitting to your mission, you unlock a power that changes everything. Every workout, every study session, every focused hour compounds. Your consistency becomes your credibility. Your effort becomes your edge. And one day, without warning, the results will speak louder than your excuses ever could. People will ask, how did you change so much? You'll smile because you'll know it wasn't a miracle, it was discipline. Day in, day out. Quiet, unseen, uncelebrated, until it wasn't. Chapter 5 is your reminder. You don't need motivation. You need commitment. You don't need to feel ready. You need to show up, even when it's boring, even when it's brutal, especially when it's hard. Because every rep you put in now builds a future you'll be proud of. Stay disciplined. Stay dangerous. You're not becoming better. You're becoming unrecognizable. Chapter 6, pain is not your enemy. It's your compass. It points to the places where growth is waiting. Most people run from pain. They numb it, avoid it, distract themselves from it. But if you want to become unrecognizable, you must make peace with it. You must lean in. Because inside pain is a message, a lesson, a strength waiting to be earned. The discomfort you feel in the gym, the loneliness you feel when cutting off, toxic relationships. The frustration of building something from scratch, these are not signs you're doing something wrong. These are signs you're on the right path. Pain means you're stretching beyond who you were. It means you're shedding old skin. It means something inside you is evolving. You will never outrun pain, but you can outgrow who you were through it. You can use it, transform it, let it fuel you. If your muscles ache, it means they're growing. When your heart hurts, it means it cared. When your mind is overwhelmed, it means it's expanding. Don't wish for the pain to end. Wish to become stronger through it. Every time you walk through fire and don't give up, you teach yourself that you are more capable than you ever imagined, and you don't just survive, you rise. Day by day, scar by scar, lesson by lesson. The world may not see it yet, but you're not who you were. You're becoming something else. Something harder to break. Something bolder, more focused, more resilient. People will look at you and say, how did you become this version of yourself? And the answer will be simple. I didn't run from pain. I used it. Because pain sharpens purpose. Pain deepens perspective. And pain reveals power. The old you feared it. The new you feeds from it. Remember, this comfort makes you feel good for a moment, but pain makes you great forever. This is the chapter where you stop fearing the fire and start walking through it. You're not here to play safe. You're here to transform. Let the pain shape you into something even you won't recognize. Keep going. The burn means you're alive. The hurt means you're growing. The pressure means you're being molded into something rare. Embrace it. This is where the real transformation begins. Asterisk. Chapter 7. Asterisk discipline is the silent architect of transformation. While motivation is fleeting and feelings fluctuate like the wind, discipline remains. It's the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. For 21 days, you don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. Because it's not about massive action once in a while. It's about showing up every single day, especially when it's hard, when no one is clapping. When the excitement fades and reality kicks in, discipline is doing the work when it's boring, when it's inconvenient, when it's uncomfortable. It's waking up when the bed is warm, putting in reps when your body aches, staying focused when distractions call your name. This is what builds the unrecognizable version of you. Not flash, not hype, grit, quiet, steady, relentless effort. You build your future in the moments no one sees. In early mornings and late nights, in saying no to temptation and saying yes to the plan. Discipline is choosing long-term vision over short-term comfort. It's your promise to yourself, honored again and again. When others quit at day 5, day 10, day 17, you push through. You don't stop because it's tough. You keep going because it's worth it. You don't rely on mood, you rely on mission. Day by day, you teach your mind that it doesn't run the show, your purpose does. And this mental rewiring creates a new identity. You're no longer the person who gives up. You become the one who finishes. And when people ask how you changed so drastically, how you rebuilt your mindset, your body, your habits, you won't need to speak. Your life will show them, because discipline leaves evidence in the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you handle setbacks. You won't need to prove your growth. It will be undeniable. This is the chapter where you stop negotiating with yourself, where you stop waiting for inspiration, where you master self-command. It won't be glamorous. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Every time you show up, you're casting a vote for the person you want to be, and one day soon, you'll look in the mirror and not recognize who's staring back, because discipline built someone extraordinary. Keep showing up. Keep moving forward. Discipline isn't punishment, it's power. Chapter 8. The power of environment is often underestimated. Yet it plays a crucial role in shaping who we become. If you're trying to grow while surrounded by people and settings that pull you back into the old version of yourself, you'll find yourself stuck in a cycle of frustration. You must audit your surroundings with brutal honesty. Are the people in your circle fueling your fire or dimming your light? Are your habits supported or sabotaged by where you spend your time and with whom? During these 21 days, your environment becomes your silent partner. It can either accelerate your transformation or anchor you to your past. You must become intentional about where you go, what you consume, and who has access to your energy. The food in your kitchen, the tabs open on your screen, the conversations you entertain, the voices you listen to, all of these shape your trajectory. If you want to become unrecognizable, you cannot keep hanging out in places where the old version of you feels at home. Growth requires discomfort, and that includes the discomfort of letting go of toxic influences, negative spaces, and distractions that masquerade as comfort. This may mean distancing from familiar faces, saying no to old habits, and building new spaces physically and mentally that align with your future. Create a sanctuary for progress, a space where focus thrives, inspiration lives, and distractions are minimal. Surround yourself with reminders of who you're becoming. Vision boards, powerful quotes, books that challenge you, and routines that ground you. Your external world will eventually reflect your internal growth, but for now, let your environment reflect your intention. Choose people who challenge you, not coddle you. Choose discomfort that builds character over comfort that erodes it. Even if it means standing alone for a while, let your environment be a reflection of your commitment. These 21 days are your foundation. Make sure your surroundings support the structure you're building. And when the new you emerges, stronger, clearer, and more resilient, your environment will be one of the reasons why you didn't just dream change, you lived it. Asterisk Chapter 9. Asterisk. The mind is your greatest asset or your greatest enemy. It all depends on how you train it. Over the course of these 21 days, you're not just changing habits, you're rewiring your brain. Every belief you hold, every story you tell yourself, every limitation you accept is like a program running in the background, silently guiding your actions. If you want to become unrecognizable, you must become the author of a new mental script. The old thoughts that kept you stuck are no longer welcome. You must catch them, question them, and replace them. This is mental discipline at its highest. Level not just motivation, but transformation. Begin to observe the patterns in your thinking. Are you always expecting the worst? Do you doubt yourself before you begin? Do you talk yourself out of opportunities because of fear, guilt, or imposter syndrome? Those thoughts are not truths, they are habits. And like any habit, they can be broken, rebuilt, and replaced. Use affirmations, not as shallow slogans, but as tools to rewire your brain. Speak life into your goals, even when fear tries to silence you. Visualize your success not once, but daily. See yourself as the person you're becoming. Train your mind to recognize possibility instead of limitation. The moment you control your thinking is the moment you regain control of your life. This journey is not just about doing things differently, it's about thinking differently. Hardest prison to escape is the one we don't see, and most people live locked in patterns they've never questioned. But not you. Not now. These 21 days are your liberation. Each day, push back against the noise of negativity and reprogram your mind with purpose. Refuse to entertain thoughts that do not serve your evolution. Meditate, reflect, journal your victories. And when the old thoughts try to return, greet them with the power of your new self-talk. Remember, change your thoughts and you'll change your feelings. Change your feelings and you'll change your behavior. Change your behavior and you'll change your life. Your mind is a garden, tend to it with care. Pull the weeds, plant new seeds, and trust that with time, attention, and consistency, it will bloom into something unrecognizable. Chapter 10. This is where the breakthrough happens, not in comfort, not in routine, but in chaos, uncertainty, and resistance. Day by day, you've been tearing down the version of yourself that settled, procrastinated, doubted, and shrank in the face of challenge. Now, you're stepping into the fire of change, fully aware that you won't leave the same. Becoming unrecognizable means reaching a point where you can no longer tolerate the gap between who you are and who you could be. You begin to crave discomfort, not because it's easy, but because you now understand it's the birthplace of transformation. Every day you show up to the world with a new mindset, new behaviors, and an unshakable vision. You no longer beg for clarity, you create it. You no longer chase motivation, you move with discipline. This isn't a chapter about inspiration. This is about execution. About doing the hard thing when no one is watching. Outworking when you're tired. About saying no to distractions and yes to your purpose. About becoming someone who doesn't wait for conditions to be perfect. Because you've realized your mindset creates your conditions. The truth is, most people stay average, not because they lack talent, but because they lack commitment when things get hard. But not you. You've already decided. You've already paid the price in sweat, sacrifice, and self-doubt. You are becoming the kind of person who makes others question their own excuses. People will start asking what happened to you, why you glow different, walk different, think different. And the answer is simple. You refuse to remain the same. This is the pivot point in your journey. It's the moment you truly internalize that your life doesn't change when you want it to. It changes when you decide it must. This is the energy that rewrites your future. This is the moment where old versions of you begin to die off for good. And yes, it hurts. Growth always does. But you'll come out stronger, wiser, and so aligned with your purpose that the opinions of others start to fade. Doubt fades. Fear fades. What remains is clarity, strength, and a hunger to keep rising. This is the beginning of the unstoppable youth version no one saw coming, not even you. Welcome to the turning point. Welcome to the version of you that refuses to turn. Back seam. Chapter 11 *. At this stage, you are no longer chasing change. You are embodying it. You've walked through the storms of resistance, shattered comfort zones, and rebuilt your identity from the ground up. But here's the truth. True transformation doesn't just require momentum, It requires maintenance. It demands a daily recommitment to the vision that pulled you out of mediocrity in the first place. This chapter is about consistency beyond the high of motivation, the grind that continues even after applause has faded. You're beginning to realize that being unrecognizable is not a one-time event, it's a lifestyle. Each choice you make, no matter how small, reflects your new standard. Waking up early, feeding your mind, staying focused, guarding your energy, all of it stacks, brick by brick, into a fortress of discipline. The world starts reacting differently to you now. People sense a shift. Some admire it, others feel threatened by it. That's okay. Their response has nothing to do with your growth and everything to do with their comfort being disrupted by your evolution. You no longer explain or justify the new you. You let your actions speak. You understand now that your journey is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to the most powerful parts of your path. So you begin to protect your peace. You disconnect from noise, drama, and shallow conversations. You align with those who are building, not just talking. You train your mind to resist shortcuts, temptations, and old patterns. There's a calmness in your spirit now, not because life is easy, but because you're grounded. You trust yourself in ways you never did before. You've seen what you're capable of when you stop quitting on yourself. And now, you refuse to go back. You don't need external validation to keep going. You've tasted the power of internal fire, and that's more than enough. You start to move differently, not faster, but with more purpose. Each step is intentional. Each decision aligns with the future you're building. And as days pass, you begin to realize you no longer recognize the version of yourself who tolerated excuses, who played small, who waited for the right time. That version is gone, replaced by someone who doesn't wait to be told they're enough, someone who knows they are. This is not the end of your transformation. It's the beginning of a new era, where you are no longer becoming unrecognizable. You already are. Chapter 12, by the time you reach this chapter. Your life has taken a shape that reflects not just what you once hoped for, but what you intentionally designed. This part of the journey is less about external achievements and more about the inner architecture you've constructed, the mindset, the values, the emotional control, and the spiritual clarity. You are now living proof that consistent effort, deep reflection, and brutal self-honesty can change not just circumstances, but entire identities. The struggles that once overwhelmed you now seem like distant echoes, not because they disappeared, but because you've grown so much stronger. You no longer react out of fear or insecurity. Instead, you respond with calm, clarity, and control. Discipline is now second nature. You don't have to push yourself as hard, because you've already installed the habits that pull you toward greatness automatically. You eat, think, move, and decide like someone who is in control of their destiny. People around you notice the difference, your energy, your confidence, your boundaries, your silence when others would speak, your focus when others are distracted. But what they don't see are the early mornings you showed up for yourself, the nights you questioned everything but still refused to give up, the times you doubted but still chose to believe. You've built a fortress within, and no external force can shake it. You no longer seek approval because you've already approved yourself. You've found peace, not in what you have, but in who you are becoming. Now, every room you enter, you carry that peace. You're not desperate for attention or validation. You bring presence, power, and purpose. And it's not loud, it's quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything. You start seeing your purpose with greater clarity. You realize all the pain you went through had a reason. It refined you, redirected you, and revealed you. You understand now that your transformation wasn't just for you. It was so you could be a mirror for others, showing them what's possible, but you're not forcing anyone to follow. You lead by example. Your life becomes a silent revolution. And in this chapter, you begin to protect that revolution like sacred ground. You are mindful of what you consume, not just food, but thoughts, conversations, content, and company. You're no longer accessible to anything that disrupts your frequency. You're intentional with your energy. You love deeply, work purposefully, and rest fully. And the best part, you're still growing. You've learned that this journey never ends, it just evolves. And that's the beauty of it. You're not chasing a final version of yourself anymore. You've fallen in love with becoming, not that love changes everything. Chapter 13. In this chapter, the transformation you've experienced begins to radiate beyond your personal life and into the lives of others. You've evolved from simply working on yourself to becoming a beacon for those around you. Without trying, you inspire people through your consistency, your integrity, and your calm energy. You don't preach, you practice. Your example speaks louder than any words could. People feel safe around you, not because you solve their problems, but because your presence reminds them of their own potential. You've mastered the art of holding space, listening deeply, encouraging growth, and knowing when to step back. You no longer waste time explaining your journey to those committed to misunderstanding it. You've learned that not everyone is meant to go where you're going, and that's okay. Detachment has become a quiet superpower, not because you don't care, but because you now love with freedom, not attachment. Your boundaries are no longer fences. They are filters that protect your peace. You've learned to say no without guilt and yes without fear. You prioritize quality over quantity in everything: relationships, goals, thoughts, and conversations. The noise of the world no longer distracts you because your inner world is grounded and aligned. What once triggered you now teaches you. What once drained you now reveals what needs to go. You begin to see life not as a battle, but as a beautiful training ground for your soul. Even hardships now come with a sense of purpose. They refine you, not define you. In this stage, you understand that healing isn't just about feeling better. It's about becoming better. Becoming better isn't for praise, it's for peace. You are now driven not by fear or lack, but by a deep sense of responsibility to live in your highest truth. You've stopped competing and started creating. You no longer chase time because you've learned to be present. You're no longer impressed by surface-level success. You're drawn to depth, to truth, to alignment. Life becomes a reflection of your inner world, calm, clear, and intentional. You trust the process. You let go of forcing outcomes and allow life to unfold, knowing you've done the inner work. And in this awareness, you find your greatest power. The power to choose your response, the power to forgive, the power to start again, the power to walk away, the power to believe, the power to keep becoming. Chapter 14. By this stage in your journey, you've developed not just discipline, but devotion, a deeper sense of commitment that doesn't rely on motivation alone. You wake up with purpose, not pressure. The routines that once felt forced now feel sacred. Your mornings are no longer rushed but intentional, marked by stillness, gratitude, and clarity. You don't start your day by scrolling through distractions, but by tuning into your own energy. You've stopped seeking validation from the outside world because your self-worth now comes from within. The mirror no longer reflects insecurity. It reflects ownership, confidence, and quiet strength. You've stopped blaming your past and started building your future, one aligned choice at a time. Your thoughts are no longer your enemies, but your allies. You recognize when fear shows up, but you no longer let it drive your decisions. When discomfort arises, you meet it with curiosity instead of avoidance. You no longer react, you respond. You've mastered the pause between stimulus and action. The pause is your power. You use your energy wisely now. You no longer argue to be right or participate in conversations that drain you. Silence has become one of your greatest tools. You understand that not everything needs your attention, explanation, or reaction. You protect your focus like a sacred flame because you know how easily it can be scattered. You don't waste energy on what you can't control. Instead, you double down on what you can. Your attitude, your habits, your perspective. Goals are no longer rooted in ego, but in purpose. You're not chasing success for status. You're creating impact through authenticity. The people around you have shifted not because you pushed them away, because you've risen to a frequency that not everyone can access. You're attracting depth, not drama. Growth, not gossip. Alignment, not attachment. Your definition of success has matured. It's no longer about how much you have, but about how aligned you feel. It's about peace, presence, purpose, and the freedom to live life on your terms. You've learned that happiness isn't something you find, something you build? Asterisk. Chapter 15 asterisk. As you move further into this transformed version of yourself, you begin to understand that life is not just about achieving, it's about aligning. You no longer chase moments for validation, but allow them to arrive through your quiet consistency. You've stopped glorifying chaos and started romanticizing peace. Silence no longer feels empty. It feels full of presence. You don't need to constantly be doing to feel worthy. You've learned the value of simply being. Rest is no longer guilt-ridden. It's a conscious part of your growth. Your identity has shifted from the person who hopes for change to the one who embodies it. You've realized that the real breakthrough doesn't come when the world applauds. It comes when you no longer need the applause. Your vision is clearer now because you've cleared out what was blinding you. Comparison, fear, doubt, and noise. You've filtered your life to match your frequency. The conversations you entertain now feed your soul. The people in your circle mirror your values. You've built boundaries not to block people out, but to protect what you're building. Within, you no longer need permission to say no, to take space, or to evolve. You've stopped apologizing for changing and started celebrating it. You're no longer interested in proving your worth. You're busy living it. You've learned to detach from outcomes not because you don't care, but because you trust your effort and timing. You've accepted that control is an illusion and surrender to flow. And in that surrender, you found something better than control: peace. You realize now that every version of you that felt lost, broken, or stuck was simply preparing you to rise. Nothing was wasted. Every setback refined you. Every delay redirected you. Every silence taught you to listen deeper. Now, your life is no longer measured in milestones, but in moments of alignment, peace, and purpose. The transformation is no longer visible just on the outside. It radiates from within. You've become the person you once needed. And that quiet evolution, rooted in intention and nurtured with discipline, is your greatest success. Chapter 16. Now that the 21-day transformation is behind you, a deeper truth begins to emerge: becoming. Unrecognizable was never about abandoning who you were, but about reclaiming the version of you that was buried under noise, doubt, expectations, and limitations. The discipline you've cultivated, the mental shifts you've embraced, and the habits you've consistently practiced, these are not temporary upgrades. They are now embedded in your identity. You are no longer motivated solely by the pain of your past or the pressure of your future, but by the clarity and purpose you've found in the present. What once felt impossible is now routine. What used to drain you no longer has access to your energy. You wake up with intention, carry yourself with calm power, and no longer entertain the thoughts or people who don't align with your growth. You've developed emotional agility, the ability to feel deeply without becoming reactive, to respond instead of react, to breathe through discomfort rather than run from it. You've learned that consistency is not about perfection, but about returning to your values over and over, especially on the hard days. The real glow wasn't the change in your schedule, your body, or your circle. It was the way your mind now protects your peace, chooses your focus, and commands your energy. You realize now that being unrecognizable isn't about shocking others. It's about becoming so aligned that even you are surprised by your resilience, your peace, your clarity, and your grace. You've not just improved, you've ascended. And in that ascent, you've found freedom. Chapter 17. As you settle into this new version of yourself, quiet confidence begins to take root. Not the loud, attention-seeking kind, but a grounded inner knowing that doesn't need validation to feel real. You no longer measure your progress in comparison to others, because you've become intimately familiar with your own rhythm, your own lane. You understand now that power isn't about dominance, it's about presence. When you enter a room, your energy speaks before your words ever do, and that energy is built from consistency, integrity, and deep self-respect. You're not chasing approval, you're embodying purpose. It's the same people who once doubted your path are either watching in silence or seeking your guidance, but your focus remains inward. You've learned to protect your energy like it's sacred because it is. You no longer tolerate chaos disguised as passion, or relationships that only survive in your self-betrayal. You walk away with grace, not guilt, and that alone has changed your life. You've built systems that support your growth, rituals that anchor your day, and boundaries that protect your peace. Every step is intentional now, every choice aligned, every setback reframed as a lesson. Even in moments of stillness, you're evolving. You've rewritten your story not by waiting for permission, but by reclaiming your power and acting daily. In alignment with your future self, you are no longer afraid of your potential, you live in it. Chapter 18. By now, your transformation is not just visible, it's undeniable. It's the habits you've built, the thoughts you've restructured, and the energy you've nurtured have shaped a version of you that once lived only in your imagination. You no longer rely on motivation to move you, powered by discipline. You've become fluent in your own patterns, aware of the subtle ways you used to self-sabotage. And now you interrupt those patterns before they take root. You've mastered the art of showing up for yourself even on the hard days, especially on the hard days. Your relationship with discomfort has changed. What once felt like resistance now feels like growth. You welcome challenges, knowing they reveal your depth and forge your resilience. You've stepped out of the mindset of survival and into a life of intention. Each morning you don't just wake up, you rise with a purpose, with clarity, with a sense of urgency that doesn't burn you out but fuels you. Your surroundings have shifted too. You've let go of environments and people that once dulled your shine, not from a place of ego, but from a deep understanding that growth demands. Pruning, you've stopped chasing moments and started creating them. You trust yourself to figure things out, to adapt, to lead, to rise. And this trust, it's the foundation of everything. Your life no longer looks like the old you, and more importantly, it no longer feels like the old you. You've become a walking reminder that reinvention is possible, that change is not reserved for the chosen, but for the committed. Every step forward is a silent victory. You've become the proof. Chapter 19 *. As you enter this chapter, you begin to understand a profound truth. True transformation is not a single event, but a series of intentional decisions made daily. The version of you that once hesitated, doubted, and feared is now only a memory, a shadow of a life left behind. In your eyes now lives certainty, not because everything is perfect, but because you've trained your mind to remain unshaken in imperfection. You no longer seek validation from the outside because you've built it from within. Your voice has grown stronger, not louder, but more certain, more rooted in who you are and what you stand for. The world responds differently to you now. It notices. It shifts. People begin to ask what changed. But you know the answer isn't in one moment, it's in the mornings you chose discipline, the nights you sat with discomfort, and the countless times you chose alignment over approval. You've mastered the subtle art of saying no to what drains you and yes to what shapes you. The boundaries you once feared are now your power lines, protecting your peace and preserving your energy. You are no longer moved by distractions. You're guided by vision. Life isn't just happening to you anymore. You are co-creating it with intention. Every challenge is now an invitation. Every setback, a setup, and every delay, a divine redirection. You're not merely becoming unrecognizable to the world. You've become unfamiliar even to your past self. And that is the ultimate evidence of growth. Chapter 20. You've reached a stage where reflection becomes your teacher and silence your greatest ally. The noise of the world no longer controls your direction. You've learned to listen inward, to trust the quiet nudges of your intuition. This chapter is about embodying the evolution you've worked so hard for, not just thinking differently, but being different. You walk with a calm intensity now, not needing to prove, only to live in truth. The standards you've raised weren't just about achievement, they were about alignment. The habits you've built aren't just routine, they're rituals of self-respect. The people in your life see the difference, but they can't quite explain it. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer bend, you stand. What used to shake you now strengthens you. The opinions that once held you hostage Now bounce off the fortress you've constructed from discipline, belief, and clarity. You don't fear solitude because you've found wholeness in it. And now, every step you take feels intentional. Every word you speak carries weight, and every choice you make adds to the person you are still becoming. In this chapter, you don't just acknowledge your past, you honor it for the fuel it gave you. And with that gratitude, you step even deeper into your purpose. Conclusion: after 21 days of committed transformation, you are no longer the same person who began this journey. You have peeled back the layers of fear, doubt, laziness, and distraction. And in their place, you've built discipline, clarity, self-respect, and power. This isn't just a temporary improvement, it's a foundational reset. You've proven to yourself that change is possible, but more than that. You've discovered that becoming unrecognizable isn't about impressing others, it's about finally recognizing yourself. The version of you that now stands in the mirror has emerged through discomfort, sacrifice, and daily battles that no one else saw. But you saw them. You showed up. You fought through. You rose asterisk. This journey wasn't about perfection. It was about consistency. It was about not giving up when it got hard and staying grounded when it got easy. You now understand that growth is not a destination, it's a lifestyle. You no longer need motivation because you've created momentum. You no longer need approval because you've built internal certainty. And you no longer wait for change. You are the change. As this chapter ends, your story does not. What begins now is a life designed by intention, lived with purpose, and fueled by an identity that no longer settles, shrinks, or breaks. You are unrecognizable not to the world, but to the version of you that once doubted this was possible. Now go forward, not as who you were, but as who you decided to become. Asterisk.